Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we're getting tantalizingly close to wrapping up the year 1986. But while we may not be wrapping up a year, we are wrapping up a season. And that is season 3 of Muppet Babies, with the last 4 episodes of season 3 entitled Muppet Goose, Bad Luck Bear, Of Mice and Muppets, and Back to the Nursery.
Am I looking at this correctly and seeing that we don't have to watch any other Muppet Baby related stuff until October?
You are correct, Sam.
That's great. I like
nice
that.
little break.
I'm happy.
But we actually did watch one other thing. It lasts about as long as the sentence that I'm saying right now. It was a brief clip from the BBC show Telly Addicts that Sam will tell you about in just a little bit.
I tried really hard. When the show started, I was like, this is fun. And then I started to watch. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just watch the whole thing. Then I was like, this is completely incomprehensible to me.
Yeah, it is not made
the same language as I am, but I do not know what any of this could possibly mean.
Yeah, it is not made for American eyes.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, we mentioned it there, Sam. We have wrapped up another season of Muppet Babies. We are now 39% of the way through Muppet Babies. We've got 5 more seasons left.
Wait, don't say that. That's how many seasons there were of Fraggle Rock, period, right?
Yeah.
5? Okay.
Yeah.
That's so unfortunate for everybody.
Mostly us, though.
Mostly us, but
at the time, people could choose whether or not to tune in to Muppet Babies.
There shouldn't be a reality in which there's more Muppet Babies than Fraggle Rock, though. You know?
Yeah. And we also have to deal with the Fraggle Rock animated series coming up as well.
Matt.
Yeah.
Do we? They're not Muppets.
Are they not?
I don't think so. I don't think the Muppet Babies are Muppets. And sometimes when they use the word Muppet, I get mad at them. Like, you don't get to say that you are Muppets. You're not puppets.
They're not puppets. But is a drawing of Kermit like a Muppet?
We've established it is, so it's too late for us. We read all those comic strips, like,
right.
You know.
I think there's also something to, the Jim Henson thought this was a good idea part of this podcast.
I know, and that's what keeps getting me too, is that like it was really popular. It is. I think really, I was thinking about this when I was showering a second ago. The most galling thing about Muppet Babies is that for a lot of people, this is the legacy that Muppets have left behind. Like, this is the forefront Muppet product to many people for whatever ungodly reason.
Yeah, since we started doing this podcast, I talked to way more diehard Muppet fans than casual Muppet fans.
Right.
But I would be curious to maybe go back and talk to people like my mom who knows of the Muppets, but like specifically ask her, what of the Muppets have you seen?
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the Muppet movie? Have you seen Great Muppet Caper? I doubt it. Or, like, do you know of the Muppets because you watched a few episodes of The Muppet Show and then you see them appear on talk shows?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people would say, number 1, Muppet Show. Number 2, I think a not insignificant portion of people would say Muppet Babies would be
I think
the
people
second
our
Muppet.
age, especially, because the show not only ran for 8 seasons, but also had a lot of reruns on the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon.
Or people Nick's age, Nick Jenkins, who we had on the show, Gen X guy who watched the show like when it was originally on.
Right. And so I think there's it's like Sesame Street. I think Sesame Street is probably the other touch point for a lot of people as far as their familiarity with Muppets. Is like, oh yeah, I watched Sesame Street when I was a kid.
Right.
And I think this is similar where a lot of people watched Muppet Babies as a kid and maybe
Yeah.
don't really keep up with the Muppets.
Right.
But they at least know the names of the Muppets.
Of the Muppets or Muppet Babies, at least.
But we did watch 4 episodes of Muppet Babies this week. So
I
I don't
did
want to
too.
be here for 4 hours talking about Muppet Babies.
Oh, no, I forgot that. I mean, we have to talk longer about it, too.
Yeah. So I'm just going to kick it to you, Sam, and say,
Okay.
what did we watch this week?
December 6th, 1986. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. What with the Christmas tree set up in your living room, you sit in the warm glow of the lights, circling toys in a Sears wish book and watching Saturday morning cartoons. You've stopped even wondering why you always watch Muppet Babies and just accept the inevitable as the opening theme starts to blare from the television. This week's episode is called Muppet Goose. The babies can't sleep, so they make Nanny come in and read them nursery rhymes. Every nursery rhyme puts one of the babies to sleep, 1 or 2 of them, but for each baby that falls asleep after the nursery rhyme is over, Animal invariably does something crazy that wakes another baby back up in a maddening cascade effect that even Nanny starts to think is extremely annoying. Eventually, Nanny just falls asleep, and the babies don't ever fall asleep. They're just awake at the end. It's like hell. You, however, can't get too mad at the terrible episode as you are full of Christmas spirit. Next week, December 13th, 1986, a gentle snow falls outside. Presents have begun to appear under the tree. Christmas cards line your mantle. You try to focus on all these good things as your sister changes the channel to Muppet Babies. Everything is fine, you tell yourself. It's Christmas. It's going to be okay. This episode is called Bad Luck Bear. The babies are taking a bath, completely unattended, and as they're getting out and drying off, a bar of soap kind of starts whizzing around the bathroom, causing Fozzie to slip and break the bathroom mirror. The babies tell Fozzie that now he will have 7 years of bad luck, which freaks Fozzie out, obviously. At this point, he kind of loses control of his body completely, and physics stop working for him, and he just sort of careens around the playroom, breaking everything in his path. The other babies suggest knocking on wood, gathering lucky charms, and finding a 4-leaf clover, but nothing works for Fozzie because he just keeps breaking everything. In all the commotion, Piggy also breaks a mirror and starts smashing everything in her path. Eventually, Nanny comes in and tells Piggy and Fozzie that bad luck isn't real, and that's the end of the episode pretty much. It's over. Pee-wee's Playhouse is starting. You survived another week. But Muppet Babies is inevitable. December 20th, 1986. And guess what? It's back. You sit in your little red and green Kevin McAllister robe, staring dead-eyed at the screen as baby Kermit roars to life, staring at you, mocking you. This episode is called Of Mice and Muppets. The babies are asleep again when a weird noise wakes them up. Eventually, they figure out that Pee-wee, Officer Carruthers' mouse that they are taking care of while he's on vacation, has escaped because Rolf forgot to put him in his cage or something like that. The babies are terrified that when Carruthers gets back, he will arrest Nanny for losing his mouse, so they start searching. Gonzo, for some reason, gets convinced that Pee-wee is hiding in the walls, so he spends pretty much the whole episode imagining that he's crawling around in there, trying to find Pee-wee before the evil wall wonker gets both of them. Meanwhile, the rest of the babies are engaged in an extremely pointless Pied Piper fantasy in the hopes that music will get Pee-wee, who they call a mouse, but looks like and is treated as if he is a rat, for all intents and purposes, to come out. Gonzo's theory eventually wins, and the babies team up against a wall wonker to save an imaginary Pee-wee, not actually solving any of their problems in the real world. Then Nanny comes in, and she and Animal show them that Pee-wee will come out to the sound of this really annoying toy police car that Animal has been playing with all episode. The Muppet Babies are getting dangerously close to ruining your Christmas. Meanwhile, somewhere in London, on December 23rd, 1986, another little kid watches his television just like you. He's watching Telly Addicts, a BBC game show in which families play television trivia games against celebrities, and I'm doing I'm doing air quotes.
Hey, they were celebrities in the way that the people at the Labyrinth Royal premiere were celebrities.
What? I couldn't even tell. They were like television critics. Some of them were maybe, and
Maybe, but there was some that were like studio heads.
yes, right. There was like, yeah, and the guy was like joking so much about them not being celebrities. It was like I couldn't tell what they were.
It's like
They were just
all
like
the
people who were around the office or something.
Right. Like all the real celebrities are off on their holiday vacations already.
Yeah.
So we gathered this group of people who were nearby.
Yeah. And it starts off charming because this host is like good and he's busting everybody's beans, and it was hilarious. Anyway, in this particular episode, which is the Christmas special, Statler and Waldorf appear to read the script from the episode of a show. This is like a game I guess they play every week. So the people like guest stars come on, they read a part of a script from a TV show, and the contestants have to guess what TV show they are reading the script of. And in this case, the show is, of course, Morecambe and Weiss. Obviously, I knew that the second they started talking. This small British child loves Telly Addicts and is not miserable because he is not watching Muppet Babies. Back stateside, it's December 27th, 1986. The Muppet Babies did not, in fact, ruin your Christmas. You got a full set of Transformers Stunticons and Super Mario Bros. For your NES, so you're basically in heaven. However, this particular Saturday morning, instead of playing Super Mario Bros., your sister has claimed the TV to watch, you guessed it, Muppet Babies. This episode is called, I forgot to write down, Back to the Playroom? Is that what it's
Back
called?
to the nursery.
Back to the nursery. So Nanny is showing the babies some pictures of her as a teenager in the 50s. Nanny is 48 years old, we learn in this episode. I think, right?
We don't learn an exact number, but it's somewhere between 45 and 49.
Yes.
The oldest she could possibly be is 49 years old.
I don't like that.
No, it seems incredibly wrong compared to everything we've ever learned about her.
It's like how in Spider-Man, in the old Spider-Man comics, they drew Aunt May like she was like 90 years old. But like conceivably, she couldn't have been any older than like Peter's mom, who would have been maybe like in her late 30s possibly, because he was like a high school sophomore or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's showing pictures of her as a teenager in the 50s, and while she's doing this, Fozzie spills hot chocolate all over her scrapbook, which Nanny is calling a yearbook, but is clearly a scrapbook, potentially ruining a photo of Nanny working at a drive-in restaurant. Nanny goes off to clean the photo, and the babies just feel awful about what they've done. They decide that the best course of action is to build a time machine and go back to 1955 so they can find Nanny in the exact moment the photo was taken and retake the picture. In another show where things actually happen and everything is not imaginary, that's actually a pretty good idea for an episode. Instead, this is Muppet Babies, where joy and happiness goes to die. So instead, they just kind of fuck around in the closet. They don't even really like hop through time that much and visit fun places. They're mostly just like in this weird dimension that's full of clocks. And they kind of just stand around being like, how do we time travel for the whole episode? Eventually, they do figure out how to get to 1955. They learn about jukeboxes. They learn about drag racing.
I was surprised at how little they seemed to know about jukeboxes, because I feel like in the 90s, I knew what a jukebox was when I was a kid.
There's something, you see a jukebox and you just know what it's going to do somehow. Like, but no one ever told me.
Rolf tries to play it like a piano, and Scooter has to tell him, no, a jukebox is like a computer that plays records.
Yeah, Scooter has Wikipedia somehow. So they learn about jukeboxes, they learn about drag racing, then eventually they see Nanny, they take a picture of her, they go back to 1986, they show Nanny the picture. It's actually just a picture of Piggy reenacting the picture of Nanny, which is kind of sweet. Mm-hmm. Nanny looks at it, she's like, okay, cool, well, this picture wasn't ruined, so everything's fine. And that's that end of that episode.
There's a lot of Nanny just saying, oh no, your problem? That's fake. Like, like 3 of these episodes end with her just saying, oh no, the whole thing you were freaking out about, not a problem at all. Shut up. You're just dumb babies.
But then there's also like, they break that mirror. And I feel like if you could see Nanny's face, like she'd have the biggest vein popping out of her head while she's like, I'll just call the glass company and get a new mirror installed. That will cost like a couple $1,000 maybe. Yeah, it's a big mirror.
but she also seems to not care that much
Yeah.
about the broken mirror or the potentials that the babies could be injured by all the broken glass that they keep dropping everywhere.
She's actually just relieved because the mirror is two-way glass, and if they had broken it, they would have seen the panel of scientists standing back there
Right.
taking their notes. So it's actually best case that it just got cracked a little bit. Meanwhile, you stopped paying attention like 5 minutes into the episode to combine your stunticons into the mighty Minosaur. And I totally forgot to look up what happened in 1986. So you tell me what happened with the Muppets, and I'll try to find something.
Well, the problem is, Sam, we've already sort of talked about that.
Ah, shit.
And there's
right.
not really much more to say because
Okay.
we already talked about it a bit when we got into December of 1986 here. So unfortunately, I don't have much to say to kill time for you as you Google
I'm reading so fast.
what happened at the end of December 1986.
All right, so now I'm on the movies that came out in December of 1986. Three Amigos, fantastic.
Never seen it.
I've never seen it either. You know what? I
You
just
liar.
assume it's fantastic. But Little Shop of Horrors.
Ooh.
Yeah, a little teaser for a future episode, eh?
For next episode.
Oh, great. I'm excited to watch that. Platoon. So yeah, pretty good, pretty okay December. Pretty like adult oriented December. I feel like there aren't a lot of like family hits here really.
Well, it says they reissued Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
So they had that going for them, I guess, at Christmas. But
Mhm.
yeah, other than that, not a ton going
Not a
on
ton
for
to
kids.
bring the family down to the old movies, huh?
So we should probably get Telly Addicts out of the way of the things we watched this week because, again, what Sam said about it is pretty much all there is to say about it. Statler and Waldorf pop up. That's in this script reading round of this show. They perform a little bit of Morecambe and Wise that all of the contestants immediately recognize and know. And then the show shows the original Morecambe and Wise routine. And yeah,
Which
Morecambe
looks
and
pretty
Wise,
funny, actually.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Morecambe and Wise are, one of the most famous comedy duos in England.
Okay.
So it makes sense that everyone there
Yeah.
knew this. I think it'd be close to sort of like Who's on First, sort of like
Ooh, sure.
kind of thing. Like you'd be like, oh, I know that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, thoughts, Sam?
I feel like there's so little that we're going to see the original Statler and Waldorf that kind of like from here on,
right.
that kind of made me a little like sentimental. Will we ever see them again? I assume so.
I mean,
but who knows?
In Muppet Vision 3D and
Oh,
Muppets Go to
yes.
Walt Disney World, I would
Okay.
imagine are going to be some of the last original appearances.
Yeah. So that was nice. They do this round, and then there's a second round for the family. And so when he introduces Statler and Waldorf, he's like, "We're going to introduce some guest stars through the script. You might recognize them." Then he says the same thing again for round 2, and I was like, "Oh, there's going to be a couple more Muppets." And then this is like the weirdest rat puppets I've ever seen, and that made me laugh really hard because I was like, "Ooh, you're putting these guys on the same level as Statler and Waldorf, huh?" Who were those guys? Do you know?
I did. I looked that up, but I don't remember what they were called.
It's Roland Rat, of course.
Obviously, Roland Rat. That's why I was just about to say that, Sam.
But yeah, when Roland Rat popped up, I thought that was pretty funny. No offense to anyone, of course. I know that we live in a bubble in America and that it's inconceivable to us that anybody else would have anything nice. But it was funny to see Roland Rat.
Especially because it looks like Roland Rat, like, didn't have, like, quite the run like the Muppets had, but does, like, occasionally pop up on things. Or in 2008, Roland released a Christmas single, Ding Dong, Ding Dong, Christmas Down the Drain.
I love that kind of stuff so much. Just like a micro famous puppet is one of the best things. It also says that there was an all puppet episode of The Weakest Link.
I am just reading this as well.
I want to see that so bad.
He also appeared on Big Brother several times.
That rules.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I like the idea. I think I've talked about this before. Well, so it's like when the Muppets just show up randomly on stuff. Like,
right.
Everybody loves it when a puppet just randomly pops up. You might as well on the BBC have a little rat that can pop up every now and then and be like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Man, I'm very curious about this. Oh my god, this is a nightmare. I just pulled up the Puppet Weakest Link, and the problem is the combination of styles of puppets from like
Uh-oh.
Muppet level quality to terrifying leprechaun puppets that I don't know what those are.
Oh no! Do you see Nobby?
Yeah.
Nobby's just a man with a camel for a head.
Oh, and they even had a puppet host. The leprechauns, Jelly and Jackson, Roly Mo, Zippy and George.
Sue the panda.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Looks like a little gas station puppet
It's
that you bought for your kid to keep him quiet on a road
exactly
trip.
what I was about to say. Like one of those folk manis or whatever puppets. Wow.
Aren't Zippy and George part of that famous early 2000s? There was like dirty bloopers of that puppet show.
Yes. These two are very familiar for sure. Kind of a yellow axolotl looking guy and a hippopotamus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember there being like rude outtakes of them back in the day where it was like, oh, you touched my twanger.
Yeah. I think you're right. Oh.
That was the entertainment we had back in the day before TikTok.
Do you see Zippy, George, and Bungle?
I do. I think we got to move on from the weakest link, though.
Bungle is scary.
If we do even 30 more seconds on this episode of Weakest Link is going to become my birthday pick for this podcast.
I would be totally fine with that. Oh, they made a puppet of the host. Okay. Maybe this is we can watch it during a live stream or something.
There we go. Yeah, I don't think copyright claim's going to come for us on that.
I don't think so either.
Well, the last thing I have to say about Teleaddicts is I found a fun fact while looking up the show that said the original format had 2 teams of 4 people with a winner stays on format. The challengers then had to try to beat the champions to win and return as the champions in the next show.
Right.
This apparently backfired somewhat after a single family, the Payne family, managed to last almost the entire season.
Oh, no. Well, that's okay on stuff like Jeopardy, right? Why is that? That's exciting, isn't it?
I mean, I didn't look much more into it than that, but they seem to not be happy about that outcome.
Huh. I would say this show looks fun as hell. I would love for there to be an American version of this show. I think that would rule.
Of the Puppet Weakest Link?
No, of Teleaddicts.
Oh. I was back on the Weakest Link.
No.
Because I'm like,
you were just talking about Teleaddicts, Matt. You have to come back to reality.
The problem is we actually watched Teleaddicts and that was not memorable versus the 5 seconds I've just seen of this Puppet Weakest Link episode is never going to leave my brain. Now I just want, though, an American version of that Weakest Link episode with like Kermit, Elmo, Daniel Tiger, like mixing in American puppets.
Mr. Rogers would never lower himself to that, though. Lamb Chop would be amazing on
Oh, Lamb Chop.
That would be so funny.
Lamb Chop versus Weakest Link Lady?
This sucks. Because, Kermit and Lamb Chop maybe interacted briefly, but I can't think that they actually ever did. But having a whole show with Kermit and Lamb Chop cracking wise, come on. You could have Kermit and Fozzie. You could have one of all the main Muppet troupe. You could have Lamb Chop. Try to get Mr. Rogers. Do anything it takes. Beg and plead. You kind of run out of puppets pretty quick, but
there's got to be some that we're forgetting about where I feel like
maybe at the time you could have had Bob the Puppet from Breakfast Time, that show that I love.
Oh yeah, because it would have the nasty bunny from that show I remember.
Greg the Bunny.
Ever After. Nope, the other one.
You could also have Greg the Bunny too, but I know
Bunny.
the one you're talking about.
Yeah, the Bobcat Goldthwait rabbit.
Maybe get one of the dinosaurs from Dinosaurs in there. Get Elmo for sure. Yeah, Big Bird. Big Bird would be there, of course. It would be the best show of all time.
Or maybe what we need is just a weekly puppet game show.
Yeah, or that.
That way we don't have to burn through this whole cast in one go.
Yeah. Then you run out of puppets pretty quick, Matt.
I will say it looks like Lamb Chop and the Muppets have interacted a couple times where Kermit and Lamb Chop were both together at a 2001 event, and then Lamb Chop and Fozzie were together at a Pittsburgh Puppetry Conference in 2003.
Oh. Are we going to get... Is there a video of that?
Oh, no idea, but I would love to see it.
Me too.
Well, getting into what we're actually here to talk about this week, it's Muppet Babies. And Sam, I won't say I enjoyed all of these episodes,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say I feel like Muppet Babies is turning a page and trying out some new stuff that
Yeah.
makes me hopeful for the future.
Honestly, there was moments in these episodes that made me so volcanically angry. Mostly just because it was like you could have written this any other way.
Mm,
But I agree with you that except for Muppet Goose, which
mm.
felt like I was in purgatory, the rest of it was kind of like there's something there's something different here where they actually are experiencing plots. Like things are
Yeah.
happening to the babies in real life. And even Muppet Goose does have this. Like they're not just in the nursery like goofing around. There's like actual problems they're trying to solve, which is much preferable.
Well, it's returning to the thing that we talked about. Felt like it was sort of going away early in season 3, where they would
Mhm.
have the fantasy sequences, but there was no plot within the fantasy sequence, or it wasn't even
Right.
funny. They would just
Uh-huh.
recreate the plot of Cinderella, and they'd be like, "Wasn't that fun?" And it's like,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't fun for you. Wasn't fun for me watching.
Yeah.
But it feels like now they're actually, the imagination segments lead somewhere. They have
Mhm.
jokes within it. There's a purpose to it, and Animal is back to his "I'm gonna ruin your fun times" character.
Yeah, that's true. I would say that Muppet Goose, you don't even have to say what any of the fantasy sequences are. Like,
Yeah,
they're completely unimportant. That
true.
episode was awful, but we have to talk about it first, so I guess we might as well talk about it.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason we'll talk about a little bit that it feels like this page is turning is
Mhm.
because not for the first time, but in a new way, 2 of these episodes are written by new writers.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so for those that don't know, almost every episode of Muppet Babies up until this point has been written by Jeffrey Scott. There are a few one-off episodes here and there written by other people. One notably written by Chuck Lorre of Big Bang Theory and Two and a Half Men fame.
Did we watch that one already?
We did.
Okay.
I don't remember us noting anything different about it.
Yeah.
This, to me, especially Back to the Nursery, felt like somebody new had their hands on this show.
Back to the Nursery was dangerously close to like having something interesting happen.
Yeah, there's definitely things in here that made me furious, but I did not feel furious during Back to the Nursery. There was like every choice the characters were making at least made sense.
Yeah.
They didn't randomly walk away and say a weird thing like they did in one of these episodes.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't the purgatory, as you mentioned, of this first episode, Muppet Goose. The
Which
episode where the
I'm
babies
looking
drive Nanny insane.
I'm looking at the Muppet Wiki page for it, and Muppet Wiki, no offense to Muppet Wiki, they don't usually try very hard on Muppet Baby episode pages.
Right, yeah.
But this one, the full summary of the episode is Nanny tells the babies nursery rhymes as they fall asleep. They usually do at least 2 or 3 sentences. In this case, no.
They're like, eh. And that's honestly, you probably could have guessed that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even
Yeah.
need to watch the episode to write
Right.
that summary of this episode. But yes, this episode aired on December 6th, 1986. It is Muppet Goose, and it is written by Jeffrey Scott. The babies are suffering from a bout of insomnia, and they're all going to try some tricks to fall asleep. Scooter even tries to give us a little headspace sleep meditation that doesn't work. Animal goes to grab the book of stories, but Kermit once again points out that none of them can read.
Yeah, especially not Animal.
Especially not Animal.
Yeah, yeah.
So Animal instead starts yelling out the word read over and over so loud that Nanny comes into the room to check on
They
them.
kind of like start beating Animal up too. They're just like, shut up. And they like all pile on top of him. It's very
I
odd.
think they might put a pillow over his head at one point.
Yeah. They hate Animal in this moment. But then Nanny comes in and Animal says read again, and then all of a sudden they're like, great idea, Animal. We were always on your side.
Well, and Nanny makes a devil's bargain here and offers to read just one story.
Yes. I have enough friends with kids that I know how this plays out. I've seen it happen.
The book that Animal picked out was a Mother Goose book, so that's the one she offers to read a story from. And Gonzo is like, hey, Nanny, how about we read something cool, like Captain Incredible? And Nanny's like, how about we read something more relevant to my life? And she says, let's read The Old Woman in the Shoe, because the opening line is, there was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do.
Yep. perfectly describes her to a T. Who would know what to do with
She's reading
those?
from her diary.
Yeah. I like in this episode, all of the babies are basically like, we hate this book. Please read us a new book. I want to hear an adventure story. I want to hear a different kind of story. And Nanny's just like, nope. I'm reading these really short stories. I hate you guys so much.
Yeah, this is the first time I've truly felt like Nanny hated the babies a little bit.
Yeah. There's no moment at the end where she's like, this was such a nice time we got to spend together. She just falls asleep.
And, you know, maybe she even is pretending to be asleep.
Yeah.
She's
And
like,
then she's
how can I
thinking,
get out of
fuck,
this?
they're not falling asleep.
I did like that the, in the old woman who lives in the shoe story, the joke here is that everything is shoes, except the shoes.
I thought that was pretty funny. There was a couple parts in all of these episodes where I was like, I gotta hand it to him. That was a pretty good joke.
Their shoes are little houses that they wear on their feet.
Yeah.
And they drive around the town. There's tennis shoes. There's paratrooper boots, which are shoes playing tennis, and boots jumping out of planes.
Yeah.
But then Fozzie...
We start to veer a little bit too far into fetish territory pretty soon here, which often happens with this show.
That's not what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
But Fozzie asks the question of who wears these giant shoes?
Yeah.
Which obviously means we're going to see some giants.
Some giant feet, more like, my friend.
Well, usually giant feet are attached to giants. So.
Usually giant feet are on people's DeviantArt accounts.
One of these giants, by the way, sounds exactly like Dave Coulier's Bullwinkle impression.
They got Dave. They're going to use him, baby.
At the end of that story, Gonzo and Animal both pass out from the smell of Animal's bad feet.
Stinky feet. What the fuck? And it's like, and that part happens, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be fun. She's gonna slowly put one baby to sleep, then the next baby to sleep, then the next baby to sleep, and probably the last baby who falls asleep, they'll have a cute little moment where yeah, absolutely not what happens. It's so much worse than that.
No, it's much more like those little toaster toys when you're a kid.
Yeah,
where it's like bing, bing, bing. Like the moment you put one down, the other ones are up.
Yeah. It's just, it's like training to be a parent. It's just like, this is so fucking annoying. I hate this so much. But they're babies, you can't send them to jail or whatever you would do with a real person who was doing this.
You would send a real person to jail.
If they're bothering me this much, I'd at least weigh my options.
I was gonna say, what would that 911 call be like if you were like, hey, this guy won't stop asking me to read him stories?
I honestly think if a guy if you had a roommate or something, he came in and woke you up, and he was like, there were two roommates. Okay, there's two people. They come into your room. They're like, we can't go to sleep. You got to read us a story. These are grown adults. One falls asleep. Then you're in the story. The other one wakes the other guy up forever. I think you could sue them at least.
For what?
For being annoying. For maliciousness. I'll ask. I have a friend who's a lawyer.
I don't think you have a strong case here.
I'll ask her.
Well, reluctantly, Nanny offers to tell another story. This time the story of Jack and Jill, who we obviously see represented as Scooter and Skeeter, who imagine they're mountain climbing, and then Scooter immediately drops the bucket the moment it touches the water.
I love this. Skeeter's just like, you fucking idiot the entire time.
Well, and then is like, well, you know what happens next.
Yeah. Also, you must die now.
Yeah. Here's your crown. You have to fall. You have to almost die.
Yeah. The Scooter's like, the drop must be at least a mile. She's trying to kill him.
Oh, absolutely. But the story seems to work at first, because when we come out of that one, most of the babies have fallen asleep.
Yeah, that one got them all.
Except
so boring.
Miss Piggy.
Yeah. Who
is still awake and gets her own story of this little piggy. But this little piggy went to Beverly Hills to go shopping. In the story, Gonzo's there and is an annoying salesman and waiter.
He's being very Grover-y.
Yeah.
Big Grover vibes here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you give them up at a random job and make them annoying.
Yeah.
That's Grover.
You got Grover, baby.
But nothing else happens, really, in that story at all.
He's being a creep, also.
He's always
like serving himself up for dinner. I don't know. This is a weird episode. After the guy finished writing this one, he was like, I got to stop writing every episode of Muppet Babies.
This was his tipping point of like,
I'm going
can
to
we hire some more writers, please? Well, Kermit is also now not sleepy, and he wants an adventure story. And this is one of the first moments where Nanny sounds truly
Yeah.
done.
Kermit, I read you an adventure story every day this week. And then refuses to read him an adventure story.
Yeah, she reads him Humpty Dumpty instead, where we see an egg-shaped Indiana frog.
Yeah. And they are calling, much like they often do, they're calling each other like Skeeter Dumpty, Kermit Dumpty, and I hated hearing that. Sometimes I think about if I was a voice actor on this show and I had to say some of this stuff, I'd be like, Piggy Dumpty. I wouldn't be
there's
able to get
even
it out.
worse name crimes coming up in just a couple minutes here, Sam. First, to end this story, Animal ruins this one, and not only ruins the story, but also wakes up all the other babies.
He somehow knocks every baby out of 2 beds. I don't know how he just does.
The real menace that he is meant to be.
Yeah.
This is the saddest, one of the sad. There's a lot of sad moments in this episode for Nanny. I think as an adult watching this, you empathize with it in a different way than you did when you were a kid.
For sure, yeah.
But Fozzie says, I guess you'll just have to read to us some more. And Nanny says, something tells me I should have never started this.
Nightmare. They're a nightmare.
Well, and Fozzie's response is, what'd you say, Nanny? And she goes, oh, nothing, Fozzie. Like the writer didn't have to put that in.
Yeah, that's for the adults. That's
Yeah.
right. You're right.
The kids watching don't care that Nanny is tired or stressed.
That's
they like
for
the
the
babies.
parent. That's for the parent who every week has watched this godforsaken show.
And then our boy Rolf, nonsensically,
What does this mean? Okay.
hey, Nanny, tell us a rhyme about the Rock and Roll Dog Patrol.
And it's like, so at the time I wrote down, Nanny knows, like, this is going to be where the song comes in.
Obviously.
And Nanny knows that Rolf never talks about anything that isn't a segue to him singing a song. And she's like, no, it is 9 or 9 o'clock, whatever. You're going to bed. I'm not doing this. The Rock and Roll Dog Patrol. So she's just like, no, I don't know what that is. The Rock and Roll Dog Patrol never comes back up.
No,
Why?
at all. They move on to a Little Boy Blue story.
We will never know what the Rock and Roll Dog Patrol is. And I kind of actually want to know what the Rock and Roll Dog Patrol is. It sounds kind of cool.
I don't know if that's supposed to be based on something or if it's referencing something, but Rolf says it like everyone should know.
Yeah.
The Rock and Roll Dog Patrol. But no one else seems to know what it is in this world.
Searching for it brings up nothing.
Well, yeah, shockingly, it doesn't come back at all. And she starts the Little Boy Blue, Come Blow Your Horn story. And that distracts Rolf because he's like, that sounds like Gonzo.
Yeah.
She says Little Boy Blue. And because his nose is like a horn.
Uh-huh.
So Rolf imagines himself working in a jazz club where Gonzo and Kermit come into audition with Little Boy Blue, Little Frog Green, Little Bear Brown, Little Twins Yellow, and Animal.
Little Bear Brown is also a really good name. There's a lot of good names in
Yeah, but
this,
Little Twins Yellow is quite bad.
I like that because they play the cello. It bothered me only because there was not a cello in the song that they ended up playing.
Well, it also bothered me that Little Bear Brown talked about fiddling around, and he's playing a stand-up bass.
Yeah. And Little Pig Pink likes to sing big. Blech. What kind of rhyme is that? Get out of here, Miss Piggy.
Also, for some reason, Animal is the only one aged up in this imagination.
And he doesn't have his hood on, and he looks crazy.
He's drawn almost kind of like an adult animal.
Yeah.
Like more like 20-year-old animal.
Oh, yeah, you're right. His arms are really long.
But no one else is aged up at all. For some reason, I don't know if they were like, how do we make Animal play a full-size drum set? I guess we have to age him up and stretch his limbs out.
Creepo long arms, yeah.
So they play a song called Nursery Rhyme that is bad, but is bad in a weird way, where something about this song is like in a weird key or something for some of the singers. Because as they're singing, some of them don't sound like their characters. There's a voice in the background that I'm guessing would be either Piggy or like Skeeter's voice actor, but it just sounds like a random girl singing. Like it doesn't sound like either of those characters singing, but all the other voices in the song sound like they're still trying to sound like the characters. And so it's very odd that there's like one voice that stands out as like, who the hell is that person?
I wish that they had it inside of me to pay as close attention to these songs as I'm gonna make a vow to you that I will pay closer attention to these songs. But
I don't want you to make a promise you can't keep, Sam. Well, at the end of this song, Animal once again wakes everyone up.
God damn it.
And Nanny says, "Oh, please just go to sleep."
She says, don't you all go to sleep? Don't you all ever go to sleep at the same time? And they say, no, never.
Which is a lie.
It's a lie. We've seen it many times.
We see it later on in one of these other episodes.
Yeah.
And Nanny scolds Animal in maybe one of the most like realistic scoldings we've seen her do.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually does work
Mhm.
because Animal's like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah.
But the kids still can't fall asleep. Nanny is well and truly exhausted, and so she makes them one more promise, saying that they must go to sleep after she will read one last story, which is Little Miss Muffet, the most infuriating story of all.
This one really spins out of control. She has to go get the dictionary.
I had like a hope of what was going to happen there because for people who didn't watch the episode, she starts telling the Little Miss Muffet story, and Piggy keeps interrupting the story multiple times to ask questions about what
Yeah.
words mean.
There's
So
some
much
weird
so-
words in there. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Nanny says, "Piggy, can we get on with this?" And so the babies don't know what curds are. They don't know what tuffets are. So Nanny goes to grab the dictionary to explain to them what this nursery rhyme is about. And I thought, the dictionary is going to be so boring.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. She's going to be reading things and be like, I've cracked the secret. Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
Nope.
though.
Instead, she like legitimately teaches us what curds and tuffets are.
Yeah.
And we get back into the story. I have to ask Sam, did you know what a tuffet is?
I didn't know the tuffet one.
Yeah. Apparently it's
I
just
obviously
a thing
know
of
what curds and
grass.
whey are, but yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't double check that that's true. But
Mm.
I always assumed it was a pillow of some sort.
See, I always thought, like, I feel like I've seen Little Miss Muffet drawn as like sitting on a giant mushroom and stuff.
Oh, so that it can mean a tuft or clump of something, or a footstool or low seat. But I wonder if it came to mean one of those things because people were confused about Little Miss Muffet.
Right. But what is more likely, that she sat on a clump of grass or that she sat on like an ottoman?
I think they're equally likely. The word's from 1553. So
Yeah, they didn't have much to do back then other than sit on grass. So
yeah, that's true. They hadn't invented a chair yet.
Well, at the end of that story, it does turn out that Nanny has also fallen asleep, or she's just pretending. But the babies are still awake, and Gonzo decides to tell them a tongue twister, and he ends up tying his tongue around his entire head, and the episode ends on that horrible, horrible image.
It's terrifying. It just shoots out of his face and wraps around his head. And
Yeah.
that's the end of the episode. Why would you write that episode and not have them all peacefully fall asleep at the end? Why would you have body horror?
Right, like the resolution of that episode is Nanny got to sleep.
Okay, so I'm looking at Tuffet.
Okay.
It seems like it's what I said, where nobody, even back then, it seems like nobody knew what Tuffet was. So, like in 1902, somebody wrote, "Perhaps some of you would like to know what a tuffet is. I have thought about this myself and have taken the trouble to ask several learned persons, and they assure me that the most complete and satisfactory definition is a tuffet is the thing that Miss Muffet sat on." So it's maybe like a made up word. But
Like maybe the story came first and they were like, I don't know, that's a tuffet. That's a tuffet? I don't know. Maybe this is a tuffet.
yeah, we have to name her Little Miss Muffet. There's no other option. So we must find something that rhymes with Muffet.
Well, now I'm like, did curds exist before the story or did they decide what curds were later?
Whoa. Yeah. So then people would draw a tuffet as a little chair, and then a tuffet just became a little chair. And that's how words are made sometimes.
All right. I'm just going to believe everything you said is fact. So
And nobody even knows where this rhyme came from. It's shrouded in mystery. And Nanny just very confidently told them something that wasn't entirely true.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I guess
She's-
I don't
she's
care.
got like
They had
eight
to go to
kids
sleep. She's trying to get them to sleep.
to wrangle
Yeah.
at like 2 a.m. or whatever it is. The go bye-bye segment on this episode is everyone asleep in their cribs. Gonzo has to stop Animal from yelling go bye-bye. But Gonzo ends up yelling it himself because Animal plays dumb when Gonzo's like, hey, Don't say it.
Is this like the first in-universe go bye-bye that like maybe actually happened?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Not in a
Yeah.
weird void space,
Yeah.
but
Or
actually
within one of their imaginations or something.
Yeah, I would say aside from there's a few times where it gets meta where Animal will say go bye-bye as like a piece of dialogue in the
Right.
story
Yeah.
that, feels like it's a reference for us, the
Mhm.
people who have seen the ends of the episodes.
Yeah. Well, and Gonzo generally talks to us at the end of every episode too. So
I think he even alludes to somebody maybe dying later on as go
yes,
bye-bye
Go bye-bye. He does. He does do that.
with the mobsters.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to the mobsters, we have to talk about Bad Luck Bear, written by Jeffrey Scott from December 13th, 1986.
This
All
is the
the
same guy or different guy? I can't remember.
This is the same guy.
Same guy. Okay.
This is the same original Muppet Babies writer.
Okay.
The man who surely must have lost his mind trying to write hundreds of episodes.
There's a concept in this episode that does make me think that they just found him writing these scripts on the wall with his own blood.
Well, all the kids are crammed into the tub at the same time, watching Gonzo pretend to be
Fully
a whale.
clothed as well.
Yeah, they're all wearing like raincoats and rain hats. They look
Yeah.
like Gordon's fishermen. And Gonzo's pretending to be a whale splashing around.
Yeah. And Scooter's like, it's kind of unclear what they're doing. They're playing Moby Dick, I think. But then Scooter's like, we have to save the whales because it's the 80s and that's what people like to do in the 80s. And one of them says, why? And Scooter says, because they're intelligent creatures. And then Kermit says, well, we found the only stupid whale.
I know, it was so rude.
So mean, but also really funny.
Yeah, the Scooter thing feels like it's going nowhere. Like he just says, we have to save the whales.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I get it's the 80s, but that's kind of a non sequitur.
Yeah.
But it
or like
does
Scooter's
lead-
like a vegan and they're playing whale hunt and he's like, I can't play whale hunt.
I don't support
I
this.
Absolutely cannot. Yeah.
But it does lead to the rude joke from Kermit, which felt worth it.
Yeah.
Piggy says that she thinks mermaids are more interesting than whales and pulls Kermit underwater, where
To
she
kill
and
him.
he's a
That's what-
frog.
I think
He's
that's
fine.
what like sirens or something. Yeah.
Well, okay, if she had said I'm a siren,
Yeah.
be a bit more menacing.
I do think mermaids also pull you underwater and kill you. I think it's more accidental with them, but
They don't understand that you need to breathe.
yeah. Yeah. It's more like, ooh, a hunk, I think is what it is.
There's a different version of Little Mermaid where instead of her going to land, she pulls Eric underwater and just the
Much
movie's
shorter.
4 minutes long.
Much shorter, yeah.
She doesn't save him from the shipwreck at the beginning. She's just like, oh, I'll take you to my house.
This is my boyfriend. This is bobbing corpse. Yeah. we just wrote a robot chicken episode.
Yeah. Instead of the statue of Eric in her little cove of goodies, it's his dead body just like strewn up Weekend at Bernie's style.
We're going on a date tonight. Yeah.
She's just nodding his head like, yes, I love you, Ariel.
Dang, now we're good at writing episodes of Muppet Babies. We're good at writing episodes of Robot Chicken. We got to go back to 2007 now, too. Or 2002? I don't know.
I mean, I would be surprised if something like that doesn't happen actually in a Robot Chicken episode.
Yeah, in like every episode of Robot Chicken, pretty much. But so, like I said, they're taking an unsupervised bath. How did this happen and why is Nanny allowing this? This is actually the worst thing I feel like she's ever done in a lot of ways.
You're not wrong. This is an unsupervised bath where they break glass and are still left alone for quite a long time.
This is a big Nanny fail.
You're right. I didn't even think about that. There's a good moment where Fozzie is trying to pretend to be a mermaid like the other babies, but he forgets what mermaids are, and so he pretends his head is a fish.
I did like that. Yeah, he looked chilling.
But Animal pulls the plug in the tub, pretending that everyone is sucked down the drain. But in reality, they all just got out of the tub and they're
kind of
drying
got out
off.
of the tub, yeah, and they're being normal.
Then, through a series of mishaps involving slippery soap and Fozzie being on Kermit's shoulders for some reason, Fozzie loses his grip on a hairbrush and breaks the bathroom mirror.
Oh boy, he's on his shoulders because he's combing his hair in the mirror, and that part is kind of like, this is a glimmer of adult Fozzie, where he's like, do I look cute like this?
He always wears a hat, though.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't need to worry about where he's parting his hair.
But he would. Adult Fozzie worries about where he's parting his hair and then puts his hat on and doesn't even think about it.
Well, Fozzie's worried about Nanny in this moment. But Piggy
should be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I broke a window when I was a kid playing baseball, as, scamps used to.
Yeah. It's like one of the worst things you can do as a kid that isn't actually a bad thing that you can do
Right.
as
I was
a
going to say
kid.
there's worse things, but
Oh, for
like
sure. Yeah.
this is one of the ones that feels worse than it
Yes.
is. Because like
Yes.
obviously for the parents, that sucks. They have to
Yeah.
replace a window. But it's kids, you know.
It's loud and scary and unfixable. Yeah.
Right, yeah. You're not just gonna be like, put a little tape on that.
Right. And
It's
you can't go to the
fine.
store and buy a new one. It's a whole to do. I don't
Well, you
even know how to
can.
replace. Well, yeah,
They sell them at Lowe's.
that's true, I suppose. But depending on the window you break, there
Yeah.
is it's a process.
Well, while Fozzie is worried about Nanny, Piggy informs him that what he should be worried about is the 7 years of bad luck that he's going to get.
Hmm.
And that's when we learn that none of the babies can count because Fozzie imagines that in 7 years he'll be an old man.
Yeah. Piggy has become mean. Like Piggy, I feel like used to be the smart one, but in
Mm.
this batch of episodes in particular, I think she's just mean, kind of.
She definitely is a bit more, you know, adult Piggy than she is
Yeah.
the smart baby Piggy.
Mm-hmm.
Gonzo also says that the silver lining of having a broken mirror is being able to look at 6 of him, when we very clearly see a shot of 8 of him.
Look, they can't be expected to try that hard. Even though drawing 6 would be way easier. So I
Yeah.
don't know what they were thinking.
Fozzie's bad luck continues as he slips on the bar of soap and knocks Rolf all the way across the nursery.
That's when he gets kicked across the nursery. Okay.
Yeah, he flies in a straight line from bathroom to the drawers. But in my mapping of the nursery, I think he would have had to take a 90-degree turn to end up in those drawers.
Oh, wow.
But this is what finally triggers Nanny coming into the nursery to see what all the hubbub is about. Nanny explains that there's no such thing as bad luck and that superstitions are silly, and does not seem that all, concerned about the broken mirror situation with the babies
No.
being around broken glass.
Doesn't cover it up. Doesn't tell them don't go in the bathroom or anything
Right.
like that.
Doesn't ask if any of them are okay.
No, she does not. You're right. Doesn't
She
even
just
go
says,
look.
No. She walks in and they tell her, we broke the mirror and now I have bad luck. And her thing is, bad luck's dumb. It's
Bad
not
luck's
real.
not real. I'm going to go take care of this. Shut up.
So then we get a very weird imagination segment where Fozzie and Rolf go into Fozzie's imagination, which seems to be a film studio for some reason.
Yeah, it's like a set. It's like they're just like painting flats and stuff and making sets or something.
Right. But we also see at the end of it that Scooter and Skeeter are actually painting that in the real world.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
That's weird. Yeah, this is like
Yes.
why couldn't he just be in the real world?
It's like the least imaginative imagination segment we've seen.
Yeah.
Because they're just sort of hanging out. Fozzie walks under a ladder that he could have done in the real world.
Uh-huh.
And then he sees a black mouse, which of course means it's going to be chased by a black cat, which is bad luck. And then also a black dog.
And I suppose somebody in the world laughed at that, thought that was funny, but I don't imagine. I couldn't imagine who.
I mean, the most wild part of it is that they're like, oh no, if there's a black dog, what's the next bigger thing? And you hear the sound of an elephant herd running in, which is when we come back to the real world and we see Animal chasing after Fozzie while wearing black elephant ears and a black elephant nose. Why did he have those?
He made them really fast, I guess, to match Fozzie's completely nonsensical.
He was just
dream
crafting. He's like,
sequence.
aha,
Yeah.
I'll show him.
Fozzie has had boring dreams like this before too, like when they were all mad at each other.
Mm-hmm.
He just like imagines himself like walking down the street. You remember like talking to people?
Well, also remember when he was
waving
trying to
at
find a new best friend? He was
Yes,
just
that's what it
imagining
is.
Charlie
Yeah.
Chaplin.
them.
And
Oh
he was
yeah,
like,
that
hey,
too.
Charlie Chaplin, want to be my friend? And Charlie Chaplin said no.
Nope, absolutely not. And I hope you die in the Arctic wilderness.
Well, turns out it's also Friday the 13th, a superstition that Fozzie does apparently seem to know
He
about.
already knows about it. Yeah.
Even though none of the other kids seem to know, and none of them seem to know about the broken mirror thing besides Piggy.
Piggy. Yeah.
So I'm not sure where they're all getting their individual pieces of knowledge.
They're all logging on to Scooter's computer.
But then Gonzo also knows about some superstitions and says, hey, all you gotta do is knock on wood. Because this is where the the episode really takes a turn.
This is where it is absolute fever dream. Like to think of this, and so yeah, he's like, oh, knock on wood. Here's why you do it, and then they are inside the wood, and Fozzie says, so this is what the inside of wood looks like, huh? Who's ever wondered that?
I mean, I could see it happening on like Mr. Rogers, maybe, if they're showing like how to make 2x4s or something.
I
But
guess, but almost everything, like every wood you see, that's the inside of the wood.
right, the next inch looks the same as the inch you're seeing.
This is not a concept anyone has ever wondered about. The first human being cut down a tree, and that's the first thing they did.
Yeah.
And they said, oh. And then that knowledge
That's what the inside of wood looks like.
Yeah. And that knowledge became part of our DNA. So when you are born a new baby, you already know what the inside of wood looks like.
Evolution has passed down the knowledge of what wood looks like
We got
inside.
that one. Yeah, like squirrels know how to climb trees. People, we know what the inside of wood looks like. It doesn't even cross our mind.
But the reason that Gonzo suggests knocking on wood is not because of the superstition, but because there are wood weirdos living inside of the wood. And they are apparently responsible for all the bad luck that happens to people.
Just like little guys who come out and be mean or something that live inside of wood.
Mm-hmm. And if you knock, they do
go to sleep.
They get sleepy and forget what they were doing.
Asleep. Yeah. That's what it is. They make it makes you forget that they were makes them forget they were torturing you. So then they try really hard to make them not knock on the wood to not fall asleep, and it's just like, how? Did
Also,
your brain
like
get
adding
here?
to the fever dream element, there's an animation mistake where Fozzie asks, "What are wood weirdos, Gonzo?" But the line comes out of Gonzo's mouth.
Oh no!
Like Gonzo's mouth is moving and talking. Fozzie is standing there, stone faced, but it's Fozzie's voice asking, "What are wood weirdos, Gonzo?"
In the first episode, Ralph says thanks, Nanny, and his mouth doesn't move at all, too. So they're just, everyone's out to lunch.
And this is still the more expensive animation time. I think next season we start getting into the cheaper animation, so we'll see what happens next season.
I'm excited. But this is just this is like, it's actually kind of admirable because it is such a weird idea that it does kind of feel like one of those, it feels like something that somebody came up with in like the 1400s, that we still somehow know about. Like the concept of knocking on wood in the first place is weird.
Right.
But
it's sort of like fairies, where you're just like, yeah, we know there's like this historical stories about fairies and what they were, but we all sort of just like don't treat them as real, but we talk about them as like a historical thing that people believed in at one point.
Yeah,
and
to explain things that they don't understand. Yes, you've invented a new unhinged belief from peasant times. Congratulations.
My favorite conceit of this is once they have Gonzo and Fozzie all tied up, Gonzo's like, well, how do we get somebody to knock on this wood for us? And Gonzo decides to SOS with his nose against the inside of the table to tell somebody to knock on the table. And my brain went, does that not count as
not
knocking? Because I think the way they get away with it is they add a different sound effect to his nose. And it's just kind of like as he's Morse coding on the table. So I guess if it's soft enough, it doesn't count as a knock.
Can you knock technically with anything but your hand, I suppose, is the question that they're asking here. It's philosophy.
You can't knock with your nose. We know that for sure. It's too soft.
Too soft.
I tried to track what the actual Morse code he was putting out there was, but one, don't know Morse code. And two, I think it's a mix of actual trying to do SOS, but then there's some garbled letters near the end where he just keeps going. But after they escape from the inside of the wood, Fozzie tries knocking on the table, and it all collapses right on top of them. Skeeter then offers up some good luck charms, including a rabbit's foot, a lucky penny, and a horseshoe.
For some reason, that fits Skeeter to me.
Did you have a rabbit's foot as a kid?
No, I didn't. I don't think I ever purposefully had one or anything like that.
I had one, and now I look back, and that's a really weird thing to give to a kid.
Thing to have. Yeah. And a lot of times they're like also dyed like a fun color, which is also
Yeah. Definitely, it was like purple or something. The one I
where
had.
is this
And
happening? Who is cutting these feet off and doing this?
right, because not that this is better, but like if it was like a pig hoof or a chicken foot or like animals that we
Yeah.
regularly ate,
We have a surplus of these.
right? But where I don't think I want to know the answer to where were all those rabbits' feet coming from.
You think they're fake?
I think some of them probably were,
Yeah.
but I have to imagine it started as a real thing at some point.
Yeah, because I can't think that the ones that I've seen maybe necessarily had like articulated toes or anything like that.
Also, are you allowed to sell animal feet in a gas station?
I don't. I mean, probably. Maybe in the 80s you were. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, just thinking back on rabbit's feet and then having them as a kid, I'm just like, I can't believe I just walked around with a dead rabbit's foot. Well, getting out of our rabbit segment of the week, we get the song of this episode called Looking for Good Luck, which is obviously introduced by Rolf, suggesting they all try to help out Fozzie, which just leads to a song, which is sort of a mashup of 80s pop and gospel.
Yeah, I kind of thought this song was sort of cool.
It's interesting for sure.
And at the end, the guy gets really, really gospely where they're like, and if you believe in the power of luck, raise your hands.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that is right on the edge of appropriate, I suppose. I mean, not that gospel music is inappropriate, but
Right.
it's like right on the edge of what I would expect them to do.
But if any like Muppet is going to become a Southern preacher, Rolf kind of makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. And that was part of it that was cool, was like, I would love to see adult Rolf sing gospel. Like, I think Rolf could start a cult. Like, this is working on me. I do believe in the power of luck, Rolf.
I believe in the power of Rolf.
Yeah. So, okay, how about this? There was somebody who was talking about rabbit's feet, and they said that during the 1884 election campaign, Grover Cleveland received a rabbit foot from a rabbit that had been killed on the grave of Jesse James.
What?
That
doesn't make more sense.
People had a lot of time on their hands.
I have more questions than I had before you told me that.
We'll learn more next week in our rabbit segment. Next week.
We're going to need a new rabbit segment,
theme song.
song.
I'll have to get Tuna on that.
So after the song, Kermit remembers, hey, what about the luckiest thing in the world? A 4-leaf clover. And as he holds up his 4 fingers, I noticed for the first time that Kermit has 5 fingers.
Whoa, in Muppet Babies he does too?
Yes. And even more odd, all the other Muppet Babies have 4 fingers. Except Gonzo, who has 3. He's got a weird penguin claw going on, and I've never noticed this.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed it because when I had the Palisades action figure of Gonzo, and his hands look like cards, like clubs from cards,
But yeah, I've never paid attention to Gonzo's hands, apparently. But yeah, the difference of baby Kermit having 5 fingers, all the other Muppet Babies having 4.
Wow.
And then Gonzo only having his little penguin hands.
Kermit having 5 seems like a detail that they wouldn't bother bringing across, because he does have 5 on his puppet as well.
Yeah. Very, very odd. Skeeter then finds a trap door under a rug.
This seemed like it was real too, because it's just like a very utility door looking like.
This is part of the episode that pissed me off more than anything.
Okay, great.
1,
I love that.
They find a door under the rug. They go down there. Into presumably a crawl space. And the kids venture into this imagination land of leprechauns.
Right.
Where they find a leper Kermit instead. Which is Kermit. Maybe he was the only voice actor who could do a good Irish accent.
And good as pushing it, but he could
do his character voice and an Irish accent at the same time.
Yeah.
So they ask him if he has a 4-leaf clover. He's like, no, but I do have this 4-leaf clover locator. Something that he says every good leprechaun worth a rabbit's foot has.
Rabbit's foot?
Mm-hmm. And he also just previously, in 2 sentences ago, told them he wasn't a leprechaun.
Yeah, and then he is one. That's right.
So maybe he killed a leprechaun and took it from them.
Took his hat. That's how you become one.
It's
like Santa. It's like the Santa Claus.
That's why his Irish accent is so bad.
Yeah,
He's not a real leprechaun. He's like,
he's
yeah,
still more-
totally. But then, just as I'm starting to think, because they cut back and they have a big old vacuum that they're sucking at a plant with,
potted plant. Yeah.
I realized I was like, oh, this episode is doing that thing that we like, where they're doing a nice mix of cutting back from the imagination and showing how it relates to the real
Right.
world.
Right.
Except, did they go into the crawl space? When did they come out of the crawl space? They are not in the crawl space at the end of this.
Yeah. And if the crawl space is imaginary, why couldn't they draw it more fun looking and not
Right.
like a real crawl space? And
Yeah.
is there a crawl space under the rug? I gotta know now.
I gotta know. Is there a real crawl space under there? And if so, were they just afraid of it being too scary and showing babies crawling down into a crawl space
Yeah.
and not wanting to encourage that?
Nanny, don't let your babies go in the crawl space, I guess.
Well, after that, Fozzie knocks over a lamp, leaving more broken shards all around the babies. Gonzo grabs all the shards and attempts to glue them all back together, but assembles it into the shape of a chicken.
More of a goose, I would say.
I like the idea, though.
Yeah, it was fun.
Gonzo, subconsciously is always thinking about chickens.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty good, too.
So there's a bunch of more hubbub after this, where all the kids are sort of arguing about what to do and what's going on. And in the meantime, Fozzie has run away, leaving a note that is a drawing of himself with a suitcase.
Pretty cute, too. I like that.
Well, and they also call it out, too. They're like, he left a note. And they're like, how did he leave a note? He can't write. And then some more weird, random things happen. Because this is the most annoying part of the episode to me. I said the crawl space thing maybe was. This is worse. They're all talking in a circle about Fozzie. Oh my God, he ran away. We got to find him. What are we going to do? In the middle of this conversation, this circle happening, Rolf walks away mid-sentence and starts playing a few seconds of sad music.
It was like a little dirge, a Goodbye Fozzie tune. That was very weird.
I thought they were leading into a second song in the episode.
Yeah,
that was
me
going to be
too.
like Goodbye Fozzie or whatever.
Yeah. He's just
but
noodling. That's how he gets the
just-
sad feelings out.
He's just scoring the moment.
Yeah.
But it leads to an even weirder moment where Gonzo is over by the toy chest caressing a little teddy bear and says, I'll miss the little fuzzball, and then seemingly gets startled and tears the teddy bear's arm off.
Yeah, what? Why does that happen?
Why do either of those things happen?
The babies have got... Because the guy's going crazy as he's writing the script.
When you rewatch the moment when Rolf turns and walks away, it is very much like Poochie returning to his home planet, where all these babies are talking and Rolf is just like, I'm gonna go this direction now.
Yeah. And there's something that could be fun and Charlie Brownie about that. He could be Schroeder would do that.
Absolutely.
But it's just fucking weird because the timing of this show is all fucked up and nothing ever seems like it happens on purpose.
Yeah.
This show is completely beyond anyone's control.
Maybe that's why he had to hand it off. He was really just like, guys, look what I just did. You see what I just did with Ralph? That makes no sense. You have to bring somebody else in. I'm losing it. Well, the babies decide to leave the nursery to find Fozzie. But while they're trying to open the door, which seemingly...
The door is stuck for some reason.
Or locked, or from the outside.
Yeah. Alarming.
Piggy flies backwards through the nursery, hits a nightstand, and half cracks a mirror.
Yeah, whatever that means. You break a mirror, you break a mirror. I think that's the rule.
Yeah. Well, it allows Rolf, who apparently can do math, to say, maybe you only have 3.5 years bad luck.
And I might be imagining this, but I feel like he is a character who has specifically said he couldn't do math before, maybe.
That would make sense to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, characters suddenly have the ability to do something that they shouldn't have the ability to do.
He can do math better than I can do math, honestly.
Well, now Piggy is the clumsy one, knocking down a bunch of stuff, and Nanny comes in once again to check on what's happening and finds Fozzie running away in the closet where he's just running in place.
Stupid. It's because they are, and there's this thing later in another episode, they're just dead fucking set on never letting these babies leave this, even beyond our jokes about that they're trapped in there. It's pathological, the amount that they will not let these babies just not be in the nursery. They couldn't look
mean,
out the window and say, there he is. He's standing
that's
on the corner waiting for the bus or something.
well, I think that's maybe too dangerous for them. But even what you
I
just said
guess.
about they don't even look out the window ever.
No,
We don't get to see what the
the
outside
neighborhood.
world looks like.
I think Fozzie's imagined being thrown in the trash in front of the house once or something like that.
Mm,
But like genuinely, Scooter coming in the window is the only time that we've
Yeah.
even had a hint that these babies have ever been outside.
yeah. They don't even say like, "Oh man, we had a great day at the park yesterday."
That would solve so many issues with this show.
It's always like, maybe someday we'll get to go to a zoo.
Yeah, we'll get to go to school, I hope. Y'all seem pretty stupid when you grow up, so I don't know if you get to go to school.
Well, Nanny takes Fozzie and Piggy both to the couch to talk to them about bad luck, and she states very clearly that the only people who have bad luck are those that believe they have bad luck.
Yeah.
Nanny would have been very into the secret.
Yeah. Nanny is like a right-wing talking point or something.
Yeah. It's like, here's Ayn Rand. You should read this, Fozzie.
Yeah, Nanny just says, you know the whole episode that you just watched? It's all bullshit. Get your shit together. And they say, okay.
And Piggy and Fozzie just kind of kiss and make up and decide bad luck is fake.
Yep.
Our next episode is from December 20th, 1986. It is Of Mice and Muppets, which is thankfully not an Of Mice and Men homage.
Muppets are killed. No Muppets are killed in this. Yeah.
This episode is written by Cindy McKay and Larry Swerdlove, who I believe this is their first episode they're writing, but they will go on to write some more episodes in the future.
It took two of them to match the other guy.
Yeah, Jeffrey Scott's like, yeah, come for the throne. It takes two of you. Let's see what you got.
He's fully insane at this point. He's like on top of the building like Donkey Kong, just like throwing furniture at people.
Well, the opening is a bit like Forrest Gump. A single white feather from Rolf's pillow is just floating around the crib.
Uh-huh.
It ends up making Gonzo sneeze, which you might think would be on, like, basically the feather is completely unimportant to this episode.
Yeah, he could have woken up from the sound he hears, but
no.
These babies
some
always
reason.
have to be in kind of some kind of unpleasant sleeping situation at the beginning of every episode.
But after he does wake up, he does hear a noise. He looks under the crib to see what it is and finds Chewbacca.
Fucking Chewbacca. Not even in a scene that looks like he'd be under a bed or anything.
No, it's just him in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, just like, hey.
What's up? He doesn't even say it. Hey, Chewbacca's under there.
No, that's the thing. Is like they know Darth Vader, but they don't recognize Chewbacca.
That sucks for Chewbacca.
This startles Gonzo, and he jumps into bed, terrified that there's a monster under the crib.
He's in the cool bed too. Can we admit that? He's in the bed with
Ooh.
Kermit and Piggy and who else is in that bed? Oh, I guess Scooter and Skeeter maybe are in that bed too.
Wow.
Never mind. Neither of the beds are good. But like if you were a baby and you got paired in the Fozzie bed and the Rolf bed, you'd be like, I'm a second tier baby. That sucks.
It's very clear to me where Nanny thinks I belong.
Yeah.
But Gonzo's the only one who hears the noise at first somehow. Everyone just keeps kind of telling him he's wrong, that there is no noise to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So Kermit goes to look under the bed and see what's making the noise. And while he's looking, he comes across a cage and says, hey, look, Pee-wee's gone. This is the first we're hearing of this, by the way.
Pee-wee. We don't know Pee-wee. This is not a good start for your first episode, guys.
But Fozzie says, who's Pee-wee? And we get to learn, via everyone explaining to Fozzie, who should know, that this is Officer Carruthers' pet mouse that Nanny is taking care of while he's on vacation.
Who wrote the next episode?
Different people.
Different people than anybody.
Yes.
So I think what happens is that people who start working on this show only watch the first episode, and then they think Officer Carruthers must have been a very important character. Surely he's still in the show.
To be fair, he just was.
I guess, and that was by the original writer guy, huh?
Yeah. But he also guess doesn't need anyone to take care of his pet bird.
Yeah,
that
what
he
happened
just
to
got
Polly?
in the last batch.
Polly's fine on his own.
But yeah, a wild plot twist here that, Officer Carruthers not only has a pet bird, but also now has a pet mouse.
A big exotic pet guy.
And for a guy who presumably worked pretty long shifts.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
I don't know. It's a couple weird pets to have.
And is Pee-wee not a rat?
I don't know. I
when
mean,
we're seeing Pee-wee, that is a rat, I believe.
I think it's maybe the same way how Kermit's a frog, but come on. He's the same size as a pig.
Yeah. No, like
So-
if somebody who'd never heard of Kermit before saw Kermit, they wouldn't maybe necessarily say that's a frog.
No. Yeah, I don't think they would at all, actually.
The green helps.
The green
But-
helps, but I feel like baby Kermit is even a bit further from frog looking than puppet
Yeah.
Kermit. And so if you just, found someone who had never seen a Muppet before in their life and showed them a picture of baby Kermit, I don't know if they would say frog.
There you go. Oh, green guy.
I think it would be hard to find that kind of person who had never seen a cartoon frog. But
Well, if I ever have a child, I'll make sure he never sees Kermit, and then we can ask him.
well, Rolf thinks he's the one who accidentally left Pee-wee's cage open when he was responsible for putting him away last night.
Completely unimportant to the whole entire episode, except just to make Rolf feel like shit, and he
Right.
does. He's so
Yeah.
sad in this one.
He gets to imagine that Nanny might get put in jail for
Yeah.
losing Officer Carruthers' mouse.
He finds Nanny in a cell, and the guys are like, "What'd you do? I murdered somebody. What'd you do? I stole some stuff." And then they asked Nanny what she did. She said, "I lost a mouse."
For the record, no one says I murdered someone.
You get the
Because
gist,
on
so.
Muppet Babies, you're not allowed to commit real crimes. Or if you do, you have to couch it by doing a baby crime.
Yeah.
Because the prisoners say, "What are you in for?" One says, "Bank robbery and skipping school."
Right.
And the
that's
other one
true. You gotta
says-
make it cute.
"Stealing diamonds and watching too much TV."
Yeah, okay. All right, Matt. They don't say they murder people, but then Nanny says, "I lost a mouse." And
Very
then
good.
The prisoner says, "You lost a cop's mouse? What a bum rap." And that was a pretty funny line too.
But then the prisoners find out that Rolf was responsible for getting Nanny locked up.
Yep.
And they are going to teach him a
Little
lesson.
prison justice for
And you
Rolf.
hear of them beating their fists. Like
Uh-huh.
they're going to kick this shit out of Rolf.
Yep.
But thankfully, Animal interrupts with a loud toy police car before we see Rolf get beaten to death.
A bit of foreshadowing, isn't it, with the police car?
I was shocked
I
that they
was
actually
too.
had that run through the episode.
I couldn't even wrap my head around it. They draw such a funny conclusion from it, but we'll get to that eventually.
Next up, we have Inspector Gonzo on the case in a deerstalker hat. He
They couldn't call him
determines-
Sherlock Weirdo. Come on, new writers, get your shit together.
Yeah, don't you know how we name things on this show? He determines that Pee-wee must be in the wall, and that he'll have to go in after him. He finds Pee-wee in the closet, though, and Pee-wee runs into a mouse hole in the wall.
So Gonzo was right,
Yeah.
except he was wrong. But then Pee-wee made him right.
Yeah. To be fair, it's a pretty good odds that a mouse would be in the walls.
That's where you generally find them. That's
Mhm.
true.
So Gonzo uses his magnifying glass to grow the mouse hole and get into the wall. And this is a little bit fever dreamy too. He ends up hiding behind a painting where the eyes are cut out.
There's a lot. They pack a lot into this wall thing because he's doing that,
yeah.
and then he starts hearing stomping, and he's like, the wall wonker. They do not show the wall wonker. It's unclear what that could possibly mean.
No, because he's trapped in a spider web.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's afraid of is not a giant spider,
No.
but rather the wall wonker. It could,
He could have been a giant spider. He could have said, "The big spider's going to get me. The big spider's going to eat Pee-wee," instead of the wall wonker who ends up being looking like Bowser kind of and having an evil plan of making rats run on treadmills to power something. So yeah, I mean, they got right into the swing of writing a really bad episode. Good job.
He looks more like King Arcool.
Do you mean King K. Rool?
That's what I meant. Yeah, sorry. I mixed King-
up
up
King
my
Arcool.
Yeah. You know what I meant. I mixed up
I
letters.
knew exactly what you meant. He does look more like King K. Rool. That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, during his wall adventures, Gonzo is behind the painting that looks like the Blue Boy, which is a painting that they've also parodied with the real puppet Kermit for
Oh,
a
yeah.
1984 calendar.
Uh-huh.
Then there's a weird moment where Gonzo's behind Piggy's mirror that doesn't really look like anything.
It's a two-way mirror. It's a facility. He's in the facility.
But it's not a two-way mirror because Piggy can see him.
Oh yeah, it's just a piece of glass.
It's just a
What does
just a
she-
glass.
What does she usually see? There's an exact duplicate of Piggy behind the mirror usually.
Ooh,
Oh God.
terrifying. I think that's also a mirror we've never seen before. So I think they
Mhm.
introduced that concept literally for this one gag.
Yeah.
But Kermit opens the door to the closet and Gonzo falls out. But Pee
It
Wee,
is kind of interesting now that I'm thinking about this episode. Like, you can kind of tell that the guy who wrote every other episode, whose name I can never remember,
Jeffrey
did
Scott,
kind of have like an internal consistency that already is being dispensed with, like in this one. Like, you can tell a different brain is thinking about the playroom and not thinking
right.
like, there's no mirror there. How could there be a mirror there?
Well, and also the which Jeffrey Scott has done plenty of times, but the
Mhm.
blending of reality and imagination of
Yeah.
like, when do you break those rules of like, is this happening for real? How much of this is happening?
Yeah.
Is Gonzo trying to actually get into the wall?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
Because at the end of this, Kermit opens the door to the closet and Gonzo just sort of falls out.
Uh-huh.
But then Pee Wee apparently ran the other way. So the mouse hole is real. Pee
Is
Wee ran to the
Pee-wee,
mouse
was
hole.
Pee-wee really there? Did he ever have eyes on Pee-wee? You think he did?
I think so.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Piggy has an idea. She suggests using music to get Pee Wee out, just like the Pied Piper of Hamster,
Yeah.
which is the way she remembers the story.
This part, so they go into this, one of the most pointless imaginary things I think they've ever done, which is the Pied Piper thing.
Yep.
Where
fair.
they don't actually do the plan, which is
Nope.
to try to play music to get Pee-wee to come out. But also immediately they change the rats, which Pee-wee isn't in the first place,
Right.
into hamsters, which
Right.
Pee-wee really isn't.
Also is not. Yeah.
Different species completely. I'd imagine rats and mice are more closely related. I don't know anything though. Who's to say? But that Piggy does that at the beginning is just like, then what's the point of any of this? You could have turned them to mice, and then at least we'd be in the realm that we're supposed to be in.
Yeah. The new writers watched one of those episodes where they had the stretching for time segment and said, "Ooh, that seems fun."
That seems like a great idea.
Because this is the Pied Piper story. Kermit is the mayor, married to Piggy. Apparently, he's a nice mayor who gave every child in the city a free hamster.
There is a funny line after he says he's the mayor, and then Piggy's like, and he has a beautiful wife, and Kermit says, I had a feeling he was gonna have a beautiful wife.
Yeah. I do like Kermit being in on the, oh, what a surprise.
Yeah.
Piggy cast me as her husband in another fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like, this is ultimately pointless.
Yeah.
I do like that during it, Piggy has control over the narrative of this
Yeah,
imagination.
That's true.
Where Fozzie says, shouldn't it be rats? And Piggy's like, I don't like
hate
rats, Fozzie.
Yeah. I thought that was good. And I love that Rolf was like, I do not know how to play flute, so I'm going to have to play my piano. So he's dragging his piano through the streets of town.
He's
playing
having a
like
rough
one
go.
or two notes and then going, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, first he's just trying to be like, get out of town, leave hamsters. And that's not working. So he eventually does play a song called Playing in the City. That kind of rules.
It's kind of an okay song, yeah.
It's his Pied Piper song. And the song in the fiction of this imagination works. He leads all of the hamsters out of town.
It solves a problem that they didn't have at all.
No.
Too many
but also,
hamsters.
When they come out of that imagination, they don't go, aha, we should just try that now for real.
Yeah.
And get Pee-wee to come here.
Yep. It does not fade to him like playing against. There's no correlation here.
No, instead the sun is coming up. So
yeah, it's crazy. So how long have they been at this? Did they sleep a wink last night?
I guess if they woke up,
At
20 minutes before
4
sunrise
in the morning or 5 in the morning, like babies do that. That's not weird.
Yeah. So Gonzo vows to go back into the closet to confront the wall wonker and get Pee-wee out. And this is when we first get to see the wall wonker, who looks
Looking
like
like
the big
King R. Cool.
King K. Rool. I know it now. But yeah, he seems to be a super villain who has captured the rats to run on a treadmill to generate electricity so he can control all the world's electricity.
Yeah. It doesn't seem that weird when you're watching it in the episode, but when you said that just now, it's like, oh, okay.
He even lays out his plan like a video game villain.
Yeah.
Where he's got a screen with electricity between two towers, and he's like, once the electricity reaches the top of the towers,
so
my plan will
weird.
be complete.
It's so weird that he says that. He could just say, I almost have enough power, but he doesn't.
No.
He's very specifically calls out this thing that never comes up again, this
Nope.
progress bar.
But Gonzo, also imprisoned, refuses to run. And then the number one wonk comes in and threatens to send the wall wonker back to the planet Wonkus. Because he's also apparently an alien.
Yeah.
But the number one wonk is actually Kermit and the other babies in a trench coat.
What is the wall wonker and why does Gonzo know about him in the first place?
I mean, this whole thing is a very weird thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's almost kind of fun. Like I understand why they do the imagination thing, but this one was kind of like, if this was a show where real stuff happened, like this would be like a cute little plot. Like
right.
it could be called Muppet Kids and they really like go on little adventures in their town where there's like mean monsters or something. But like I understand why they don't do that.
Right. They don't want actual peril.
But that doesn't make the show better necessarily. It makes it maybe more valuable in some kind of way for children.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes I want to see these guys beat up a wall wonker or two.
Well, instead, Animal saves the day with his loud police car again, which at this point, I was like, Animal, because it attracts the attention of Nanny. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was going to get them all in trouble. But it turns out when Nanny comes in, she once again is saying, your problem, not a real problem, you dumb babies.
And even Animal knows this isn't a problem.
Yeah, the solution is actually the police siren on Animal's toy car that he's been trying to play with the whole time. Okay. And that's good storytelling, baby.
Yeah, except they don't. So Nanny says, okay, here's the trick to get him back in his cage. He makes a sound. Pee-wee comes out, jumps on the toy car, drives it to the cage. She says, first of all, this is a very cute line, in my opinion. We found this trick out yesterday when we went to get Pee-wee, which means that she took Animal to get Pee-wee, which means he went outside, which is cute because I do think that she likes Animal the best because like she like takes him and watches TV with him and stuff like that. She's like, you are for some reason the only one I can tolerate because you can't talk. Maybe it's part of why.
You can't annoy me with asking for stories.
Yeah, you don't have a smart mouth. But also it is so funny that they do that and then they say, Animal was trying to tell us that the whole time and we didn't listen because he's a baby. That's not anything that entered into the episode at all.
No, it does feel like an extra little bonus lesson they tossed in there of like, well, don't dismiss babies, I guess.
Babies, yeah. And then Animal's probably thinking, no, I wasn't. I just thought this was fun.
Well, instead of trying to get them back to sleep, Nanny says, it's time for breakfast. And that's where the episode ends.
Yep. What was the point of Rolf being in trouble? Who can say?
I think he admits that he did that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
But Nanny, again, is like, yeah, it's not a big deal.
Rolf is the only one with a conscience. And it often haunts him.
He's lived slightly longer.
Yeah, that's true.
And the last episode of season 3 and the last episode we watched for this week is December 27th, Back to the Nursery, written by Star Kaplan and Maya Matisse. And I think this episode was a lot of fun.
Not too bad, Star and Maya. You kind of did it.
Good job. Episode kicks off with Dr. Willie the Weather Wizard informing us it's much too cold and snowy for any kids to go outside.
The series Bible on the first page must say they are not allowed to leave because he says that and then the babies pretend to just do completely normal children's winter activities.
Things that you would do outside on a snow day if you were normal kids.
Why can't they just... I mean, I would imagine a snowy background's probably easier to draw than anything. It's just white, color a little gray. Let the kids sled, please. Let them go outside and sled. Don't start your episode by the guy saying, unfortunately, no babies can go outside. Pan to a scientist hiding in a different room saying that over the radio so the babies won't say, I want to go outside and play. It's negative 200 degrees out there, kids. You die instantly. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it does feel like you're right. Like maybe they read the show Bible and it said babies can't go outside. And they're like, I guess we have to put a logical reason in here. The babies can't go outside.
Yeah.
And the other writer's like, oh, no. You don't have to do that at all.
Doesn't have to make sense. Yeah, please. We just have to get this done.
So Gonzo declares that this shall be the first annual Muppet Babies Winter Olympics.
And this is another one where they watched an episode that padded for time and said, hell yeah, let's do that.
It's also another one where Gonzo says the Muppet Babies.
Oh, he does. He knows
He calls this
too
the
much.
Muppet Babies Winter Olympics.
He knows too much.
He knows that they are both Muppets and the Muppet Babies.
Yes, the baby version of something. They're not sure what, but something.
It's worth noting as the kids imagine all the various winter sports they're doing, like sledding, skiing, bobsledding, snowmobiling. The quality on this episode specifically is the worst we've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of these scenes are bright white, snowy scenes that are so overexposed we can see nothing happening on the screen.
Can't really tell anything that's going on. Probably not that much better when you're watching it on an old tube TV in the 80s either.
No. But it also is just shots of real people skiing down a hill as the Muppets pretend they're skiing.
It is completely uninteresting in every way, and would have been much cooler if they had just been outside playing and being normal children.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not allowed to do that.
Nope.
Do we think there's a chance it's maybe like some nuclear fallout situation?
They're definitely underground, so it could be. They've never seen the real sky.
Right. The reason they can't leave is because of the horrors outside, but Nanny is trying to protect them from that.
The world needs joy again, so we must grow new Muppets. The original Muppets all died in the apocalypse.
Well, Nanny brings them hot chocolate, and also for some reason her high school yearbook.
Yeah, which is a scrapbook. Am I not right that it's a scrapbook?
It's definitely laid out much more like a scrapbook than it is a yearbook.
It has removable, yes, in that it has removable photos that are held in by those little corner thingies that are in scrapbooks.
Yeah, it is not a pre-printed thing. It does have the big 1955 printed on the cover, which helps us clue in on Nanny's age.
Which the babies pick up on too, because she doesn't say 1955, does she?
Ooh.
But
she says the 50s.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember whether or not she says specifically 1955 or if that's just on the yearbook cover.
Scooter does see it, and Scooter obviously can read.
He's type in the computer we've talked about. So the fact that like he can type on a computer must mean he's able to write and read a little bit.
Though he doesn't fess up about story time.
No. He doesn't want responsibility.
No.
So he'll keep that back to himself until it's necessary.
That's a true to Scooter kind of situation, I would say. Adult Scooter.
Well, the kids want to look, even though they don't really know what a yearbook is at first.
Neither does Nanny, because that's a scrapbook.
Yeah. Do you still have your high school yearbooks?
Yeah, sure. I do. They're in a box in my parents'
That sounded like
garage.
a lie for some reason.
Yeah, I went to high school.
Yeah.
I do. I'm sure I do.
Yearbooks.
I'm sure I do. You do, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're about 5 feet from me over there.
I was going to say, you know where they all are.
I got to relive my glory days, Sam. Look at that guy in his crown ruling that school.
That's kind of why I don't look at him too much. It was a nice time. I don't want to think about it too hard.
Well, as the kids point out, they're like, look at all those neat cars and weird clothes. And Nanny's like, yeah, that's how people dressed in the 50s. And that's our first clue that Nanny went to high school in the 50s.
Yes, and that she is in her 40s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's confirmed later on.
Almost like we are.
No, don't say that. She's 10 years older than us, Sam.
Yeah. We're 10 years away from being coded as old biddies, basically. We're old. We're old ladies.
I don't like this thread you've pulled on here, Sam.
It's true, though. By the time this podcast ends, we'll be as old as Nanny is.
If not older.
If not, yeah.
Well, Fozzie knocks over hot chocolate onto Nanny's yearbook.
Disastrous.
Nanny doesn't really seem to mind, though.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She
I guess they're glossy. You can spill liquid on a photo. Maybe maybe not. I guess it depends on how glossy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I also feel like hot liquid would maybe be worse.
Yeah, that's true.
But she kind of leaves and just asks the kids to clean up their mess, and she'll come back with lunch in an hour.
Yeah.
Again,
terse.
Kind of, just like dismissive. A little bit of like, all right, whatever. Just take care of yourselves.
Enough of this.
But Fozzie is upset that they ruined Nanny's photo, so Piggy suggests replacing it. And Rolf says, how can we replace a photo that was taken a zillion years ago?
Rude.
Very rude.
Only 30, Rolf.
Yeah.
You'll be 30. Actually, at this point, you are 30 in terms of character.
That is like when the Muppets began. Was like 54, 55. So Nanny Was
Nanny knew adult Rolf.
Nanny, I guess, is like the same age as Jim.
Whoa, that's weird.
Well, Fozzie suggests having Nanny put on Piggy's roller skates and serve This is a wild part of the episode. I had to watch it back a few times because Fozzie talks so fast. His idea is, he says, let's have Nanny put on Piggy's roller skates and serve make-believe donuts to Officer Carruthers in his police car, and then we'll get the camera and take a picture. Why do they have to be make-believe donuts?
I don't know. And then they're mentioning Officer Carruthers again, which furthers my they only watched the first episode and say the characters in this show are the Muppet Babies, Nanny, and Officer Carruthers.
Yeah, there's only one other human in the world of this.
Yeah. He's the soldier who guards the facility.
Yes. I think to me, he's a little bit more like Keys in E.T.
Yes. Yeah.
Where he is at first like a government official. He's trying to find the Muppet Babies.
Right.
But then he meets them and meets Nanny, and he's like, okay, I'm going to help you out.
Yeah. We got to make a movie where the Muppets find the Muppet Babies, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing?
What if they were like photorealistic CGI, like Detective Pikachu style creatures?
Yeah. Ugh.
Where you just walk into this room, and it is like a 2 foot tall, slimy baby frog.
Yeah. And Kermit's like, you have legs? Oh.
I'd love if the real world Muppet Babies didn't look like puppets at all.
It seems like something that could happen in Muppets from Space, like when he's in that facility. Like he runs past there's like a big window and it's the playroom, and Gonzo's like, and he looks in there and they're like, hi, Kermit. He's like, oh, even for me, this is too weird.
Rolf's just a real dog in a diaper.
That would be amazing. I love that. He's like stepping on a piano.
Like, that was our first draft. We tried. We did not do a good job. So thankfully we figured it out eventually.
Rolf's hard. Yeah.
Well, Gonzo suggests they go back in time using his supersonic snowmobile trike that they're going to hook up to a wagon to build their own time machine.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, reasonable.
Yeah, they add some cardboard to their time machine, which has gull-wing doors.
Yeah.
And they slowly, very, very slowly, push their time machine into the dark closet.
We've seen them push a couch faster than they push this thing.
Yeah, Rolf lifted an entire couch in the first episode, and yet he can't even help
strength.
push this whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, this moves to a DeLorean skidding to a stop in a room full of clocks.
And they're going to spend a lot of time in this room full of clocks. Get used to this room full of clocks.
They do spend a surprising amount of time in this room full of clocks. And they figure out that's sort of like that place in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, the grove of trees.
Yeah, where all the doors go to different holidays.
Uh-huh.
This is each clock leading to a different time.
Yeah.
And they turn around, an animal is gone.
Oh boy. And there's a clock for every second, every millisecond of history. They're going to be looking for a long time.
Well, and Kermit says, gee, Nanny will be mad if we lose Animal.
In the time stream.
Not genuinely concerned about Animal's welfare.
Just Nanny's
just worried about Nanny getting mad.
He is her favorite.
Well, while in the DeLorean, they realize, we're running out of fuel, which is time, I guess.
Yeah.
And they go to a gas station where there's an attendant who is an alarm clock, but he offers up standard daylight savings or Eastern Standard Time.
Not bad.
To me, that felt like a Jerry Jewell joke.
I mean, the concept of the joke of filling up a tank of a time machine with time is kind of a stretch that I don't know that Jerry would get to in the first place, but I agree.
But the fact that it's like sand coming out of an hourglass, I feel like, is the way if you were going to imagine time being pumped into a car coming out of a sand hourglass makes sense.
Were you to find yourself in a position
you to be imagining that scenario
where you had to for work imagine that a car was being filled up with time? Sure.
Well, as they pull out from the gas station, the attendant tells them that they have to go backwards because the past is always behind you.
Yeah. Not really what ends up being the thing that they do. Right?
No, not at all.
No. They do the door thing that they talked about earlier.
Yeah. Kermit and some of the other kids are looking back in the Old West, where they discover gold and kick off the gold rush. But then they fall into a hole. But they fall out of the Old West and into the Roaring 20s.
Prohibition times, yes, but ice cream is prohibited instead of booze. I don't think they ever really directly call that out, though, do they?
They say when the cops come and during the raid,
Mm-hmm.
they say you're all under arrest for eating treats between meals.
Okay.
So
Right.
technically, that's what they're in trouble for.
Yeah.
But yes, the metaphor they're laying out here is definitely, ice cream is booze.
Yeah, which kind of means that one of the babies at least knows about the concept of prohibition enough to imagine it, right?
Well, and weirdly enough, it seems like Animal might be the one because he's the
Oh,
one
wow.
working as the bouncer at the mob club,
Oh, yeah, right.
not letting people in the door.
Yeah, and then he sees them and he goes, "Uh-oh."
Yeah.
He wants to stay there.
Yeah, he likes his job.
He likes his ultra-violent new profession.
Well, Fozzie decides to get up on stage at the club and tell some bad jokes.
Piggy does karate chop in this episode. She karate chops the door off of so they can get into the place.
Oh,
Which I believe
noticed
is
that.
maybe not the first time she said hiya, but the first, like, a very adult Piggy thing to do.
Well, Fozzie gets up on stage to tell some bad jokes and gets escorted away by some big, scary gangsters.
Who are just literally going to kill them.
Probably, yeah. They sound like Peter Lorre and Edward G. Robinson. And they're about to kill them until Baby Safe Gonzo shows up. Another very good name.
Yeah. Baby Safe? Is that his name is?
Yeah.
That's cute. I like that.
And that's when the sirens start. But unlike last episode, it's not Animal with a toy car.
No. It's real police. Real imaginary police.
Yes. There to raid their ice cream club. Well, after that happens, the babies realize they're running out of time. So instead of finding the right clock that they needed to get back to the 50s, Scooter realizes that he can program one of the digital clocks to say 1955.
Just say 1955.
So they end up at a diner where at first they can't find Nanny, but that is when they stumble across a jukebox that Rolf doesn't really understand.
Mm-hmm. They like their cute little outfits. And then they come out of the closets also still wearing like those outfits, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, like their hair is different.
Yeah. Scooter's is like slicked back and
yeah, Skeeter has like a ponytail going on, and it was I feel like it's the first time
maybe.
It's like the first time we've seen them really get affected by the imagination.
It's because these new writers have no idea what they're doing.
But this does transition us into a song called Running Out of Time.
And doo-wop comes back, this time for a good reason.
Yeah, but not even as much doo-wop as they originally were doing. Like, this is the time you could really lean into doo-wop.
Right.
And they don't really.
But it is a little.
Yeah. I was hoping for a Huey Lewis Back to the Future homage.
Yeah, that would have been fun. Nobody could do it like Huey, though, Matt. They shouldn't even try.
That's his personal motto. That's what he said when the Ghostbusters guys came to him. They're like, oh, yeah, Huey, you don't want to do it? We'll just get somebody else to replace you. He's like, oh, Ray Parker Jr., nobody can do it like Huey.
He kind of did, though. He got in trouble.
Yeah.
He got in trouble, actually.
That's when he got rid of that motto.
Yeah.
It was his official motto.
It's like that Spider-Man cover where he's walking away from his suit in the trash can.
Mask, yeah.
But it's just a t-shirt that says nobody can do it like Huey. It's like,
fuck. Ray Parker Jr. I forgot about him.
Yeah. Nobody can do it like Huey and Ray. Got added really small right underneath it.
Or nobody can do it like Huey because I'll sue you if you try.
That too, yes. Please don't rewrite my song. I need a new drug, no matter what you do.
Well, after the song finishes, we find out Gonzo's drag racing with
Yeah,
someone.
It's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
And they
for
just
pink
really
slips
do it.
even.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that the other drag racer would turn out to be Nanny. Like, they were going to find Nanny had this really cool 50s past where, like, oh, yeah, she lied when she said she was serving.
Because we have seen her driving motorcycles around and stuff in other dreams. That would have been awesome. But instead it is like, does seem to be John, what's that guy's name?
Travolta?
Yes, it's a Travolta-esque kind of fella. And then he's like, oh, no, you're babies? Don't tell anybody you beat me.
He still offers up his car, though.
Yeah, he's an honorable man, and he was beat by baby. If a baby beat me in a race, I would absolutely, you'd give it up for the baby. They have their whole lives ahead of them.
Kermit says the delightful line, "Come on, Gonzo, we don't have time for drag races." So they need to get back to the nursery, but Fozzie's too busy trying to take the picture. Almost gets left behind, but then spots Nanny and gets the picture.
And this is dangerously close to being an exciting episode at this point.
I'm gonna argue and say that it is.
I think that was, yeah, like this 50s part, the rest of the episode, like a lot happens in this episode,
Mhm.
not in necessarily a bad way, but it does like start with the Olympics, which is like a million miles from where we ended.
Very true.
But this 50s part is good. Like the
Mhm.
drag racing is interesting. If maybe they, like, I don't know. This part is interesting.
Well, and Nanny comes in and says, "Oh yeah, the picture thing.
That's fine.
No
I
problem."
forgot that even happened.
Yeah, got all the chocolate off. No worries. I think she says she got most of the chocolate off, which
she does say that. Yeah.
and at the end, Gonzo points to the picture in the yearbook and shows that the DeLorean is in the picture of the diner.
And it was there
Parked-
in the beginning of the episode too, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, I also went back and looked.
What the fuck?
The DeLorean is in the yearbook
Yeah.
before they imagine anything
Yeah.
about going back in time.
The DeLorean, which is a product of their imagination. Their DeLorean is just boxes put together.
But did they travel back in time,
I
Sam?
don't know. These new writers don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what
In
they're
a good
messing
way.
with.
It's delightful. It's
good
great.
way.
It's a lot of fun. But
Totally.
also, what are you saying happened here? Because
Yeah.
there's a DeLorean in that picture.
Yep. If you're gonna be unhinged, I much prefer that they just push it all the way.
It could also be one of those, lost in translation animation issues where they said this thing about the DeLorean needs to be in the picture at the end of the episode. And so the animators just drew the picture the same way
Yeah.
throughout the episode.
Or they said this has to be here because we're gonna setting it up for something later.
Yeah,
Who knows?
You have to keep the timeline intact. It's very important. But then the go bye-bye at the end of that episode is Gonzo, dressed up like Doc Brown, coming back from the future.
He looks
And
cool too.
Looks very cool. He grabs Animal to take him to the future and says, "You gotta see what Piggy does to me next week." And then
Weird thing
turns
to
to us.
really fucking weird thing to say.
Weird way to say it.
Yeah.
But then turns to us and says, "You're gonna want to see it too."
This is the last episode of the season, Gonzo.
That's such a good point.
Next week we're gonna have seen it already.
So like, gummy bears? Is this what you wanted me to watch, Gonzo? That's such a good point, Sam. Didn't even think about that. This is the last episode of the season, and he's saying to come back next week to watch what happens.
You little liar.
Maybe they were doing some reruns.
Yeah,
that worked out.
They
for
didn't
him,
know
but,
this was gonna be the season finale.
No, but all in all, a bit of a mixed bag as far as this batch of episodes goes.
Yeah.
But the fact that season 3 ended on such a high note
Yeah.
has me hopeful for season 4.
Just a crazy note. Yeah. I do think as we talk about episodes that different writers wrote, it does become clear that there's like, I don't know, there's something here. It's fun to have a new point of view. Yeah, I'm excited to see season 4, especially if there are more different writers. I don't know that there are, but
They definitely ramp up the amount of episodes written by other people. I know
Yeah.
both of these duos of writers come back multiple times from here on out. So I think we might get some more variety mixed in.
yeah, we are the only people in the entire world with an opinion on Muppet Baby episodes based on who wrote them.
That might
we
be
would
true.
see Jeffrey Scott's name come up on screen and go, "Oh, a Jeffrey episode."
There are times when I'm watching 4 episodes of Muppet Babies in one weekend, and I have that
This
moment of
sentence
like,
could end so many different ways. Yeah.
it takes me back a little bit to that moment in Garden State where they're talking about this is your opportunity to do something that no one else has done before and that no one will copy throughout human existence.
Oh no,
And in that moment I go,
we're doing it.
there's only one other person in the world I think today who is watching 4 episodes of Muppet Babies.
That's absolutely got
And that's because I made him.
Yeah. So that's beautiful, Matt. I like that. This
Yeah.
isn't.
May not always be fun, but it's at least original. Well, Sam, before we got out of here, I gotta ask, because it's been a very long time since we actually recorded. What you been watching?
I'll keep it brief. It's a long episode. I watched a show called. Did I talk about Scavenger's Reign already?
I don't think so.
I can't remember.
Doesn't
I
sound
watched
familiar.
I watched a cartoon on an adult cartoon on Netflix called Scavenger's Reign, which is about these people who are in space and their ship kind of gets diverted accidentally and crashes on an alien planet, kind of like Aliens.
Mm.
And this planet, basically on the planet, it's full of aliens that kind of have like symbiotic and parasitic relationships with each other in really like creepy body horror ways.
All right.
And to me, the concept of the series is partially what would happen if human beings lived on a planet where as bad things happen to them as happened to like bugs who like get a mushroom
Okay.
in their head and turn into zombies. That not that that
Right.
happens in the show, but like we are preyed upon by creatures that do weird things to us. And sometimes the things are good and sometimes the things are bad. But it's really good. It's like 10 episodes. It's really pretty. It's really interesting. Like the characters are really engaging. It was on Max, but it got canceled, and then Netflix bought it. And Netflix said, if enough people watch this, we're gonna make more. And it ends on a cliffhanger. So
Oh,
watch it. I liked it. And I watched all of The Bear, also the new season of The Bear,
I had not
which
finished it yet, so I can't.
I won't spoil in nothing.
Yeah.
Not yeah. It was not my favorite season ever because I feel like I wanted to watch more. Is really why it wasn't my favorite season ever.
We're, I think, 3 episodes from the end right now, and I can understand that feeling. I'm enjoying it,
Yeah.
but I also understand, just based on what I've seen,
There's a bit
why that
of
would be the
wheel
case.
spinning where I'm like, I know the show is not a like something happens kind of show, but
Right.
sometimes something should happen. But there's
Sometimes
some
more
really
things
like,
happen.
Yeah, there's some great. It's like still one of the best shows on TV. Like obviously, it's like one of those like It's like a Mad Men kind of show
Right.
where it's just like really good, and then it makes
Yeah.
you think like, why isn't every TV show really good? What are these people doing differently? How about you, Matt?
Well, Devin and I started watching Modern Family.
Oh,
Heard of
wow.
it?
The hot new show everybody's talking about, you mean?
It's one of those shows where I definitely watched some episodes back in the day, but never
Right.
really kept up with it.
Uh-huh.
And we like to have sort of a chill sitcom that we can just toss on from time
Sure.
to time.
Uh-huh.
And so we finished The Nanny, and then Modern Family was our next one we went to.
Interesting.
Yeah,
How is it?
it's all right. It's pretty good. There's some episodes that are like legitimately very laugh out loud funny.
Uh-huh.
And there's definitely some of the comedy that feels very 2009, 2010, where you're like, ooh, you wouldn't maybe write that in your later seasons, I'm guessing.
Uh-huh.
They rely a lot on like slightly racist humor early on.
Yes, I think I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
Rachel and I watched a couple episodes of Friends on when we were staying
Ooh.
in a hotel, which is the best time to watch
Yeah,
Friends.
that's what you have to watch.
That show's so fucking funny. But it's the same thing where it's like you would never say it. Like you can't do that. You can't do that anymore.
Right.
But man, that was one of our comfort sitcoms during the pandemic. It's just like the show's hilarious, especially like mid series Friends is just like.
Yeah,
Damn,
before the
Phoebe,
later
you're
seasons Friends
hilarious.
where they all just become billionaires.
Yeah.
And you can like
Right.
feel it seeping into the show.
Yeah.
But we also finished the new season of Doctor Who.
Oh, okay. How was it overall?
Overall, bad.
Okay. That's what I've heard.
Every interview I read with Russell T Davies about him writing this season sounds like he has no plan, no idea what he's doing, and he's just kind of winging it to get people. Like he literally said something like, "Well, it gets people reacting online, so that's what you got to do." It's like that's not how you write a good story, sir. And I've seen people like rate their episodes from throughout the season, and mine is like the complete opposite from a lot of other people's.
Oh, interesting.
Like a lot of people's like favorite episode was 73 Yards. I thought it was a colossal waste of time and a terrible episode of television. Dot and Bubble, similarly, very bad episode of television that tries to make itself important in the last 3 minutes. And I think does a poor job of doing something that it's just one of those like, come on, Doctor Who, I think you can do a better episode than this.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is important. The way you're executing it is horrible. But the episode Rogue, which is their Jonathan Groff Bridgerton homage, was fantastic and almost saved the season for me. But then the season ends on like a weird 2-parter that is not great and also is apparently going to be carried over into next season, which is not making me optimistic about the future of Doctor Who.
Oh.
The biggest bummer is that the Doctor and the companion are great together. I love them.
Yeah. I've heard that Shudi Gatwa couldn't be there for a lot. Like
Yeah.
he had like a weird scheduling issue or
The
something.
73 Yards episode was made because he couldn't be there.
That's weird.
And so they tried to like write a thing that's mostly like all about the companion on her own. What's she going to do without the doctor kind of thing.
Which is not unheard of in
No,
Doctor
they've
Who.
done episodes without the doctor before. The problem is like both 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble are episodes where it feels like you couldn't get the actors to be in the room.
Huh.
Like Dot and Bubble, there's a whole thing where like the doctor and the companion are on like a Zoom meeting essentially for the whole thing.
Oh no.
And so yeah, I don't know. Overall season, didn't love it. Didn't love where it landed. Really liked some of the episodes and some of the moments, but apparently the ones I liked weren't the ones that people liked. So who knows? Well, before we go, we got to let you know what we're watching next time. And next time, you know what, Sam? We've been talking a lot about Frank Oz and how he hasn't been around with his Muppet friends. And we always blame one thing for that. And next week, we get to see if it was all worth it. Because we will be wrapping up the year 1986 as we watch and discuss the December 1986 film, The Little Shop of Horrors, which you've seen before?
I've seen it not for a long time, and I don't think I've watched. I don't think I've watched like the original ending in forever. That's like a part I've much more recently seen the like the
Director's
cut
cut?
ending, like the
Yeah.
dark ending. Yeah. Is that in the director's cut?
Well, so we're going to watch the theatrical cut
Okay.
of the movie as it was released in 1986 because the
That
director's
maybe
cut
I've actually never seen. I'm not sure.
that feels unlikely to me because
Okay.
the director's cut is a like cobbled together black and white print scenes kind of thing, which I'm putting together a list of things we're going to watch that I
Mhm.
think we'll probably watch the director's cut ending as well just to discuss it. But
Yeah.
primarily we are going to watch the original theatrical cut as it was released in 1986 of Little Shop of Horrors, along
Cool.
with some behind the scenes interviews and things to see Frank in his element.
See what he was off doing when he wasn't hanging out with his friends for so long.
But speaking of friends, we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all your commitment needs. And if you're listening to this podcast and the app you're using has a little rating system, how about you give us 5 stars
Yes,
and
please.
maybe drop a podcast review as well and let people know what you like about commitment. Because I think, I'm sure people are out there looking at Muppet Podcast and they scroll there and they're like, what's this one? Is it any good? And they scroll down to the reviews and they see this one, which came in 18 days ago from Inspiration Exists that says, delightful. I adore the Muppets and I love listening to these guys talking about them. Matt and Sam are smart, thoughtful, and fun.
Smart.
And the podcast is quirky and simply delightful.
Wow.
I love to listen when I paint with watercolors or go on walks.
That's beautiful. That sounds like
Yeah.
2 really nice things to do while you're listening to the show.
Yeah, if you're watercoloring right now, try blue. Well, if you want to contact us, you can email us at mail@commitment.com, or you can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at commitmentpod, and you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.